We're back. That's right. On another Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. on the Chateau de Marcel studio. I am your host, Steve Whitmer, a.k.a. Slick Whitty, a.k.a. one half of the Bobby Yagas of Central Indiana. That's right. I'm not going to tell you who the other half is, but I'm sure you can all guess who that person is. So we're back with Whitty Reviews, and oh boy, do we got some stuff going on the last couple of hours, especially. I mean, really the last couple of days, but we are really starting to find out who was on our side and who was not. And I will tell you what right now, 2025 has just been the ultimate time of betrayal. People thought you could trust, and then finding out that they actually don't care about you. People that you put your trust into and finding out they actually don't care. So I'm sure all of you guys watching right now are following Indie Reporter on Twitter, but it's been such a long time since I've talked about it that I figured, you know what? Hop on Twitter. We're at 6,800 people now. I don't know. I know there are a lot of bots on there. You should have seen it on last Friday. So last Friday, I was like, man, we're like right there, 6,800. And then you can just see it floating like 10, 5 for like hours. And then finally something happened and it just picked up when we got past the mark. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to wait until the porn bots are settled off before I get too excited. But now we're well over it. Watching it oscillate back and forth has been very amusing. Also kind of annoying. Some people ask is like, why don't you have a subscription on Twitter? Well, you have to have like 2,000 verified followers. Everything else we're checked out on. We're checked out on impressions, but we only have like 900 verified followers out of 6,800 people. So go pay the $8 a month. Go get verified so your boy and the group can get a subscription. Instead, we're relying on Patreon, where allegedly these patriots are given since I run the Patreon, giving me a hard time, which was like absolutely ridiculous. I was telling somebody about this earlier today. So I went to the Indian Defenders meeting yesterday, and Jeff Thompson was there talking about SB1, and I recorded the whole thing. It was like an hour and a half. And so I posted it up last night. And then this morning, all of a sudden, there's like this woman, patriot girl, is like, why don't you show me on the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. And then there was this other douchebag who was like, why aren't you talking about the ghost employment with DWD? So I just got fed up. You know what? I didn't have my coffee by then. I was already wound up of the Republicans going to D.C. I was like, screw this. So I took down the video. I disabled comments on Patreon, and then I just reloaded the video back up like 2 hours ago. But no more comments. I'm tired of these people that think that they were like, well, you're wrong. It's like, I'm just posting the video, all right, of what happened. Why am I accountable for anything that he says? But whatever. Speaking of accountability, so the future mayor of New York City wants to get rid of misdemeanors, and that includes what? Second-degree sexual misconduct, second-degree sexual abuse, third-degree assault, sexual misconduct. So go figure that the socialists actually don't care about sexual abuse. Shocker, right? So this is what to expect from New York City. It's totally dead. This is what happens when you have a bunch of foreigners, first-generation foreigners run for office. They come here. We give them open arms, and then they spit on us. They stab us in the back, and they say, actually, let me tell you about your home. This is like inviting somebody into your home, and then them telling you, it's like, actually, you're doing your home wrong, and we're going to change everything, because even though you allowed me to stay here, you fed me, you clothed me, you took care of me, that's not good enough. I actually need to destroy it. Speaking of bullshit, though, all right, so Micah Beckwith, we ratioed him, all right? Now, what is a ratio? There's a couple of variations of it. This particular ratio was our comment got more likes. It's like a 2-to-1 ratio, more than the original poster. So here we have Micah Beckwith, the prodigal son, basically saying a big thank you to Ursal Ozempic for hosting me at the Indy 11 game last night. It was a fantastic evening, and I'm grateful for his hospitality and friendship. Ursul and his team have done so much for Indianapolis through sports development and community investment, and our city is stronger because of his vision and leadership. Proud to see the impact. First off, fuck this shit. All right. I am so over Micah Beckwith now. I'm not saying that I'm anti-Micah, but I'm done trying to defend any of his actions. Usually and this is where I am at with a lot of people. I said, I will give them the first year and then I'll see what happens, But Micah is just going full blown. I do not care on the message that the people voted me on. I'm going to hang out with these liberal douchebags that allegedly made the city stronger, even though they want a bunch of tax incentives for their garbage stadium over on, White River. It's total BS. But anyway, this is what we said. What the fuck are you talking about? It's official. You are totally compromised. You have become what you promised to fight. And at this point, he's no better than Diego. I can't believe where we're at right now. And people are starting to notice more and more. It's like, hey, you ran on this whole thing and now you're not running on it. You've totally abandoned everything that you've said that you were going to do. And now you're hanging out with lipshits and Democrats that do not care about the city. And right now, I'm at the point where Micah Beckwith is just like Aaron Wren or any other Hamilton County elitist. He does not care about any of us. Micah Beckwith cares about Micah Beckwith. And I'm just over it. He's Charlie Kirkin everywhere, trying to get his next Fox News job. He's owning the libs, which is fine if you want to do that. But what exactly are you doing with your day-to-day operations, with your taxpayer-funded car, with your taxpayer-funded gas? Yeah, he's not campaigning for anything right now. All right, so then he decided he must have got the message. Because this was August 24th. And then yesterday, August 25th, he puts out this large thing about having a conversation with Bloomington developers and realtors about the future of property taxes. He said, I'm committed to standing up for taxpayers and making our tax system work for everyone. The fight isn't easy, but together we can make Indy an example of bold leadership and responsible policy. Where were you on SB 1? Oh, that's right. You were off sucking the brawn dong is what you were doing on SB1. And then you go on Hammer and Nigel, and then you say, hey, you know what? This is just the first step. We got time. Don't you worry, people, property taxes. You know that thing that I ran on for lieutenant governor that I promised all of you that I was not going to be the typical establishment puppet. I was going to be there fighting for you. And if I have a problem with whatever governor or legislators or general assemblies talking about, I'm going to stick up for you. And did you do that, Micah? Because I can't tell when you're off bailing out during the Senate floor and hanging out with Charlie Kirk at Purdue or IU or whatever it is. And this is what I personally wrote this one right here. This is literally what you ran on when you ran for LG. Instead, you are taking pictures with Democrats that don't care about Indy, doing Charlie Kirk-style town halls, staying silent on data centers, and shilling for unproven SMRs. You are no better than Diego. You're just another version of Diego. You're white Diego, basically. Oh, thank you, Ethan Hatcher. And let's just do a quick look on. Does he talk about data center at all? Let's just look up data. On latest. Oh, nothing about it. Says AG data. Wow, that's really weird. Does he talk? I think we did this the other day. He didn't talk about. I think he's just nuclear, right? Yeah, I've been pushing nuclear, blah, blah, blah. This was back in July. A month. Nothing about nuclear in a month. Has not said anything about data centers whatsoever. And now he's finally talking about the property tax debate, which is just the lowest hanging fruit. And I think next year, when everybody's running for office, if you want to win, you should be talking about the data centers, because now there is bipartisan support in Indianapolis, which is the left armpit of Indiana. But if you have bipartisan support for that, that is easy pickings to win your election. And I'll be very surprised if anybody actually talks about it. There might be like one or two. But if you're running for office, talk about the data centers. I know that you're going to vote yes for them and any kind, and put up rules. You know, if you really here's what you do. I'm going to tell you, all right, because I know everything. This is what you do. You talk about data centers. You look up at Chat GPT it, AI it. I don't care what it is. Don't use Grok. Grok actually sucks. What I recently found out. But ask, hey, how can we slow down we should not have data centers unless you will build up your own substation. Not by the taxpayers, by the way, by Google, by Amazon, by any of these people. Meta, put them on the list. I don't care. That's what you should be doing. Not saying, hey, you know what? These data centers are going to get major tax incentives. They get sales tax. You know, this is something I told Jeff Thompson last night, too. Brought up the data center thing. I said, hey, you know, they get tax exemptions. And then I said, well, isn't there anything that the state can do about that? And they're like, well, you know, that's part of the IADC. And I was like, well, is there anything that the state can do? That's what I want to know. Because I imagine the state can at least do a little bit. Slow them down a little bit. The cart before the horse, basically. And all this crap is like, well, we have to compete with China. Trump just said he's going to allow over 500 million of Chinese nationals come into the country for the colleges. Really? We're fighting against China, but yet we're letting them inside the country. Get out. All right. Another betrayal. Speaking of betrayals, though, Craig Haggard hate train is going so hard right now. Oh, that is Robert M. Okay. All right, I know who you are now. All right, so Craig Haggard has a campaign event. I got to look up who Paul Kite and Jason Plunkett is. The Plunkett sounds familiar. But here we go. $500 buy-in, by the way. Unless you want to become the platinum, which is $7,000. Listen, I'm not going to tell you where this address goes to, but it's one of the people hosting it. And speaking of one of the people hosting it, we're talking about Chad Pittman, which is where I connected all this stuff. All right, so for those who don't know who Chad Pittman, I talked about this before. This is the guy who is the president of the Purdue Research Foundation. He's chair of the Battery Innovation Center. If you remember back in April, Hannah News had this whole IADC, Elevate Ventures thing. And in the article, they talked about Battery Innovation Center. Battery Innovation Center, who's the chair is Chad Pittman. Battery Innovation Center that has gotten a lot of IADC contracts. Chad Pittman, along with Paul Mitchell and David Roberts, out of combined off of everything, they have gotten $143 million of no bid contracts. I have the Google sheet of it, okay? I have it all there, combined anyway. So Chad Pittman, if I remember right, he also owns Emerging Manufacturing Collaboration Center. It's off of Indiana Avenue, not far from me. He owns the building, and the IADC pays him rent for it. Also, Chad Pittman, who is not president, but he was part of the IADC, like VP of something. But Chad Pittman is like the biggest a-hole in Boone County. All I get are messages from people whenever I talk about Chad Pittman. They're like, yeah, that guy's terrible. Also, I found something out about Battery Innovation Center. I'm going to talk about it on Saturday. I'm going to there's a video and I have to clip it, but I'm going to talk about it on Saturday night. But Craig Haggard, of course, the flip-flopper who said he was not for destricting, but then he flipped it and said, actually, I am for it. The guy who said, oh, I'm not going to run for Congress, and then runs for Congress. You know, take it for what it's worth. He still set up an FEC campaign back in 2023. And don't you worry. We will be looking at his campaign donations. Oh, yeah, this was the same guy, by the way, that had invited Shreve over to his shooting event, his first annual shooting event, who also received money from Shreve. Shreve, also the guy that... Oh, yeah, actually, I gotta look that up real quick. I just thought about that. Shreve, the guy who wanted to repeal permitless carry and ban assault weapons. I forgot I wanted to talk about this. Where is it? There it is. All right. I want to make sure I talk about this. All right. So we are on the Craig Haggard hate train. Don't like it at all. Well, hate's a strong word, but good enough anyway. And now he's floating around with Chad Pittman, Paul Kite, and Jason Plunkett. And don't you worry, I will be looking these people up because they must be found. All right, so crazy news that happened. Well, not really though. So a lot of the Republicans went over to DC today to talk with Trump and Vance about this whole redistricting thing happening in Indiana, and everybody's getting in a tilly about it. They're all getting they're all getting wound up. And I'm gonna give you my opinion of it. And everybody's like, "Hey, Whitty, what do you think about this?" I'm sure everybody's just no. I mean, not a whole lot of people have reached out to me. People have reached out to me about why we're not endorsing or like helping out Jamie Rittenhauer because I don't trust her. In fact, I think she's a Democrat plant. No, she like had a hissy fit after she lost the primary and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna run as an independent. I'm really gonna mess this thing up. Like, all right, you know what? You do better work if you just go and create a movement or help people run for office, not throwing an ex-girlfriend hissy fit. But anyway, so Max Lewis posted a video, and from what we could tell, I mean, obviously Ireland's there, Andy Zay, Michelle Davis, Eric Koch is there. I saw Becky Cash, Stacey Donato. Some of these people I like recognize, but I don't know their name. I think that's Rob Green. Oh, Mike Young was there. Take it for what it's worth. These are better pictures of it. There's a better picture of here. That's what I think it's. Oh, that's Bartlett or Barrett. I forgot what his name is. I forgot what that chick's name is. But whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. So, and then Jim Lucas goes out and says, actually, he's more open-minded to the idea after Vance made his case to the group. Lucas says there was no strong arming or redistricting. And before, he said that he was against it. I don't think we have to stoop down to the level of the Democrats trying to pull these little stunts. I think it would be optically bad. Which, by the way, yeah, I'm actually with you. Brad, I'm actually with you on this one. I'll talk about it. If I remember, Brad, just remind me to talk about it after the redistricting. I'm more on the Shelton. I'm not endorsing or be like, yeah, you guys should vote for this person. But if you want a real chance of winning and real election integrity, I think Shelton is the guy. I'll explain a little bit. But this is going to get fascinating. Someone messaged us earlier, like, yeah, it could happen next week. I was like, I don't know about that, because Shelton made a good point. Like, everything has to be figured out by like the first week in November. There's not enough time unless you already have these maps ready to go, but we'll see. Lucas is right. Even if he is flip-flopping, which I'm not saying that he is, but optically it does look bad because now you've split open the more of the Republicans of saying, why are we doing this? It doesn't make any sense. We already control. We only 7 of the 9. Yeah, I saw that, Bob. Kyle Pierce posted a screenshot of his credit card saying he didn't pay for it. You know what I'd like to know? Did the Democrats pay for their plane trip to Texas? Nobody's talking about that. And I brought that up kind of pretty early, but nobody wanted to answer it. I was like, okay, so are they footing their own bill over the Texas, or is this on like we're on government business right now? I don't know. Everybody cares about if the Democrats or Republicans are getting taxpayer-funded trips, but nobody's talking about the Democrats. But anyway, optically, it does look bad. I think Shelton had the best explanation of why it, if you're going to make an argument for it, it would be the argument. And there's other people saying it's like, well, you just need to govern better. This has nothing to do with governing better. And I'll give you an example right now because I live here. I live in the left armpit of Indiana. The right armpit is Lake County. That's a bigger shithole than Indianapolis, only because they have Gary and East Chicago and all those. So, hold on. All right, so Hoosiers against liberal theocracy has a great point. Okay, and Mike Felker's arguing with him back and forth, which is always amusing to watch. The answer to mediocre Republicans is to focus on the primaries, not give up entirely to radical leftists. And this is where I completely agree with it. Because and this, I was pissed off for like the last 24 hours because of this Boone County wine mom. When I was have like a quick 30-second discussion about voting and ballots and stuff. And I said, well, why don't you get rid of what the hell is it called? Provisional ballots. Make it where like your ID is where you have to live where you're registered to vote. And some people will say, oh, well, what if they just move? Don't care. I don't care. All right. Your ID should say where you register to vote. That's where you live. If you didn't fix it or if something happened, sucks for you. All right. Too bad. Mail-in ballots, scrap them. It should just be 2-day voting, 24/7, and we can get this figured out pretty quick. And Shelton actually brought this up a while ago when I first met him. And he said that in the electronic poll book, you can have, if you say somebody didn't vote, right? And if you want to scam the whole voting thing, someone with the electronic poll book can say, oh, that person didn't vote in my poll book and you're looking for a vote right now. I can have you vote for that person. That's real. And I do not like that at all. I don't like the idea on electronic poll book that you can say, well, there's this blank person who hasn't voted yet. Therefore, I can have this person vote in place of that person, which is bananas to me. That's even possible. But I live in Indianapolis, super corrupt, super douchey, and especially at the end of the day where someone's not voting. I mean, you could totally track all of this stuff. When I was running for office, there was people that had not voted since Barry in office. All these people are saying that, well, we have low turnout. Update the voter roll. That's all you have to do. Make it where if you haven't voted in 5 years, then you have to re-register to vote. It's literally that simple. Oh, you haven't voted in 5 years, maybe even 7 years? I'm okay with even 7 years. All right, well, too bad. You're off the voter roll. If you want to vote again, then you're going to have to re-register. It literally takes 45 seconds. That's it. No big deal. All right, so going back to this, though, is that it is, and I talked about this on Saturday, it is much harder to beat a Democrat in a blue area than it is a rhino Republican. Where you want to meet them in the middle is you want to go after them during the primary, and you can just point everything out. Money is always an issue, which always comes to my point on this. I cannot stand people. One of my ultimate pet peeves is when I see people say, well, you know what? We the people just need to stand up, or this crap right here. We need to stop bleeding by finding actual conservative Republicans. Okay, well, who's going to door knock? Who's going to donate money? Who's going to go and share and like and retweet, you could even say, for everybody that's running for office? Are you going to be part of that person's campaign? Because literally that's the only way for things to get better, unless you're willing to put yourself out there for it. And that's really like the biggest deal out of all of this. And I cannot stand these Republican or grassroots or patriotic Republicans that keep saying this, we the people crap, or we need to stand up, or we need to get conservative people out there. What are you doing exactly to help that candidate get the word out or fundraise? Because that's, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's 70 cents a stamp right now. I spent like a couple of grand just on postage because HRCC didn't want to help a brother out. And you talk enough about Diego. Now I have a trial next month. True story. So that's my whole point. And I know I'm sure it's on the left as well. What are you willing to do? How much time are you willing to spend? How much money are you willing to give up to get that mug conservative Republican across the finish line in the primary? That's the most important part. because now you have so many primaries going next year. Dude, it's going to be an expensive primary. You have Alting versus Bagsby. You have somebody running against Liz Brown, which she's fundraising too. Michelle Davis is running for Senate. So there's going to be a primary on that one. Haggard's running for Congress. So there's going to be a primary on that one. And you have all the other elections between J.D. Ford and Andrea Hundley. Exactly, Lisa. Well, to be fair, okay, hold on, Lisa. If the same people that voted for Shreve also voted for Lisa, Jared Evans would have lost. I already did math on it. It's unbelievable. They hated Hogsett, but they liked Jared Evans. And I hope Jared Evans runs for mayor because then Lisa can just go in there, swoop right in. But that's the same thing. And I was around during that campaign where like it was hard to fundraise. The party didn't even want to help. And that's another problem too. I mean, if you want to talk about it, I am going to talk about it, is that the party only wants their party people in there. We saw it during the chairs race. We saw it during when I ran for city council. They wanted Julie Watts on there. What happened to her? She didn't do shit and she still lost. This is the problem, though, is that in the primary, they want their people to win. I mean, you even saw it with Moed and Sarah Scheidel. And that happens on the left, too. That was a uniparty op to try and get Scheidel off the ballot. I have all the proof on that, by the way. I had Allie Bartlett tell me the reason why they were trying to door knock for Moed is because they didn't want a trans person winning the primary. That's a true story. You had a young Republican, allegedly, and Allie Bartlett door knocking for a Democrat, Justin Moed. I have the picture. I've posted it 1,000,000 times. This is the problem, though. And this is where I'm at with redistricting. I'm for it. I was like 51% for it and 51% for it, and now I'm more. And here's why. Because we can't govern our way out of this. Look at Jefferson Shreve and Joe Hogsett back in 2023. Shreve is a chameleon. He is skinwalker. He is a shifter. Skinwalker Shreve. Shapeshifter. Thank you. Holy crap. I went full retard on that one. All right. So anyway, Shreve the shapeshifter. What did he say? Remember? He wanted to what? Ban assault weapons, repeal permitless carry, totally abandoned his base. And this is what happens when you abandon your base. You still don't win. $14 million, $13 million is what he spent on that mayor's race, and he still lost by 20 points. Really? We can't govern our way out of this, no matter how well we do. This is Hogsett's third term. And I'll even show you. Back in 2019, when Merritt lost to him, beautifully lost to him, by the way, you had 152,000 people vote in that election. Then you had 164,000 people vote. Oh, actually, you guys want to see something really crazy? Hold on. You guys want to see something really crazy? You had 109,000 people vote for Hogsett in 2019, and you had 97,000 people. You had more people vote in this election than 2019, and Hogsett got less votes. We cannot govern our way out of this. Oh, you guys want to see something really? I brought this up before, and everybody was like, huh? And the GOP was just like, what? Wow, that's really interesting. Here's what's really funny. Okay, so Cindy Carrasco, the year before the mayor's race, got 90,000 votes. All right. I mean, don't forget, this was the midterm, so that's why there's so many people voting. So, if Shreve would have had the same amount of people that voted for him, it would have been by 7,000 votes. It would have been much closer. But here's the weird part. The same people that came out for Cindy Carrasco didn't come out for Hogsett or didn't come out for Shreve. The people that voted for Mears also didn't go out for Hogsett, which is fascinating because but it was still, look, it was almost exactly 59.4 to 40.6. I'm just saying, the numbers don't lie. That's where we're at right now. I mean, and this is where I knew like it's over. Republicans will never win Indianapolis because you have a garbage prosecutor who's not doing shit, and then you have a worse mayor. And if whoever wins the primary in the next mayor's race, they automatically win. That's why if I run for mayor, it's going to be the most fun, epic, most expensive, other than the Shreve one, but definitely donating a lot to Democrats. It will be very, very expensive. And this is why I say I'm okay with the redistricting, and Republicans need to be careful too, because that means you make it more open for you to actually lose. And here's what Indiana looks like when Democrats take over, is that you will have more of this. You will have more of Democrats saying, I can do whatever I want, and I'm going to throw people in jail. And you can say the same thing with COVID, with Holcomb. But there will be less law and order. And all the people saying is like, well, you know what? If Democrats won more, Republicans will be able to fight harder. Really? Really? Look at Indianapolis, okay? Where is Natalie Goodwin at right now? Where are all these Republicans at right now? And this is the problem. You guys have no idea how bad it could get because you guys live outside of Marion County. You don't know how bad things could really get actually Carmel's starting to figure it out too. Hamilton County, Boone County, Hendricks County, all these other outside counties are starting to figure it out now. It's like, wow, we really do not want those policies, but you're going to get them because it doesn't matter. Cancer always spreads out. You're seeing it in Noblesville. You're seeing it in Fishers. You had that shooting that was happening in Carmel a couple of weeks ago by 14 and 15-year-olds. And you think that you can govern your way out of this? You can't. Because look at Indianapolis. Once it takes over, it's impossible to cut the cancer. It's done then. Once it turns blue, it's not turning red again. I mean, there are very rare times that it does, but overall, unless there's some like crazy extreme thing going on, there is no way that it ever returns back. And if you want to become like Illinois, you think Indiana is bad right now? Wait until it becomes Illinois. You're talking about crazy ass regulations. Do you want $5? You want $5 or $6 a gallon gas? Do you want even more corruption going on? Look how expensive it is in Illinois right now. And then compare that to Indiana. I mean, you think that things could get bad. I lived in Illinois. I lived in Denver. I know how things could get bad. We are like the appetizer of the rest of the that we're surrounded right now by Michigan or Illinois or any of these other blue states. I mean, Ohio is starting to figure it out right now. I mean, if Vivek becomes governor, it's totally over. You're going to have a massive amount of Indians. You saw what happened over in Texas, right? Where you had that Indian that crossed made an illegal U-turn and killed those 3 people. There's videos showing all over right now social media. You're going to see 1,000 times of that. I saw Sid Mahant leave his dog inside of his Cadillac Escalade yesterday and then just leave the dog in there while he was in the during the Indie Defenders meeting. And then he brags about how great India is, but then he left there to come here. It's the dumbest. We need to deport Sid. We need to deport Raju. We need to deport all these Indians because they are a cancer. And that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get more mugshots of all these other people. Look at Ricky Vaughn. That guy got arrested for a Hillary meme. That's what you're going to get. And I understand that we have our own problems, but right now we can deal with the problem of these garbage rhino Republicans. It's going to take a lot of work, and I'm okay with investing my time and money into it. Obviously, I have a platform with Indie Reporter, and believe me, I am shifting the narrative on SMRs, on the IEDC. Nobody was talking about this until we posted it earlier today. And look at this, 8,700 views. I'm going to show you where we're at right now because we have a chance to shift everything, but don't be voting for Democrats now. We have a line to hold. And here's where it starts right here. We have a chance to call some of these people out. All of you guys that are like not dumb, run for office and we'll kind of shill for you. Don't betray us. It's that easy. But right here, IADC, I just wanted to afford life. Matthew Metcatch left a small $2,400 apartment in California for a 3-bedroom home in Bloomington, thanks to Make Move USA. And I think he moved from California, right? Yeah, he in California. So you have a California transplant coming to Indiana that's going to turn Indiana even more blue. By the way, from the help of your tax-paying dollars, because the IADC helped this. I have like a whole thing that I was going to do a video on, and I didn't think it was that important until I saw this, and now I will do a video on it. And look at everybody going after them in the comments. They didn't have anything. Look at their like average impressions on their their post. Look, 579, 220, 160. Boom. We posted on Indie Reporter, and what happens? It gets traction. 8,700 views. We got they actually got more impressions than we did. And it was everybody going after them too. This is the power of where we're at right now. And I'm telling you right now, if Bo Bay wins the whatever, I don't know. It's Bay. It's Bay. I don't care. Bo bitches for all I care. But if he wins, do you think he cares about running for office? He doesn't. He does not care at all. All he cares is about banging 10 tasties, and then just moving up and up the political ladder. I saw that interview with Gary Snide or whatever that goofy guy is, and he got more excited talking about football than talking about politics. Basically, Bo Bai is another Terry Gooden. He has like a moderate take. He's also a nepo baby, a silver spooned nepo baby that is basically a doofus who can get totally wrecked in a debate. The problem is that we have a douchebag doofus and Diego Morales, who's really just making everything look bad. I mean, this is just like the great betrayal. And you think Elise Nashala is any good? No, she sucks. Dan Elliott is going to be the next betrayer. I saw this doofus talking about Bitcoin, which Bitcoin is going to be another psyop for social credit score and monitoring your currency and what you're spending on. And then the guy wants to invest in more cryptocurrency too. There is a crypto coin called Fart Coin. Can you imagine the state going bankrupt because Dan Elliott or whoever replaces him invests all the Indiana's money into Fart Coin and then gets rug pulled? Yeah. That's the kind of morons that we're dealing with right now. They're totally out of touch. They're in their elitist attitude. And we saw over in the treasurer's office that we had the people that were helping with Dan Elliott's campaign. They also got like $40,000 in expenditures from the treasurer's office. And by the way, I did a public access request of what that was actually spent on, and they couldn't tell me. That's what kind of transparency. And I know things are bad now, but you guys have no idea how bad things could get, like 1,000 times worse. And like the accelerationism that you guys are all wanting, that's just cope. That's all it is. All right, so we got time for this. All right, cool. Let's talk about data centers. We're going to talk about, now that we're done with the betrayal stuff, here comes the data center stuff, because you all need to know this, because next year, the property tax debate is going to be the data center debate. This is where we're at right now, because you have the new Carlisle data center that will be opening, I think, next year or the following year. They did have some problems because they're trying, this was actually really funny. Do I have it in here? No, I don't. I talked about on the KNS radio podcast that I do every week about how the contractors that are doing the new Carl data center, they're wanting to fill in a part like 14 acres of wetland in Bendix Woods, and they never got the approval from DNR. And then they started filling it in anyway because the contractors are dopes, most likely illegals. And now operation's been stopped on that. They can still build the data center, but like whatever they want to do with the wetlands has been stopped. All right, so the Franklin Township Data Center is going to get very fascinating right now, because It was approved by the MDC board, Metropolitan Development Commission board, 8-1. And of course, they did a secret ballot of if they voted for yes or no. Total chicken shit coward move by them. Come to find out, Brandon Hergen, who's former DPW director, works for Heritage Construction. Heritage Construction was this massive I don't know if they sell things or if they're just like this Illuminati cabal construction group and they're just all handshaking and hand jobbing each other, but Milestone's in there, like some asphalt companies are in there too. It's kind of interesting stuff. I don't know who that person is. So NBC approved the Franklin Township Data Center, the continuous zoning. Where's my gum? All right, so this is where things start getting fascinating, where like basically the last shot, Hail Mary kind of stuff. Michael Paul Hart put out, I actually got to talk about this a little too. So Jim Schellinger, who is the former president of IADC, started gaslighting everybody and saying, you know what, actually, we don't know exactly how good this is going to be. We don't know about the water. Or he says, what do you say? We don't know what the water impacts are. We don't know what the environmental impacts are, but we should continue with this anyway. Can you imagine telling everybody with a straight face, hey, we don't know how bad this is going to screw the environment, but we should just do this anyway. And then he starts gaslighting. He starts talking about Michael Paul Hart. And everybody knows I do not like Michael Paul Hart at all. However, Jim Schellinger did a real bitch move on talking about the NDA that Michael Paul Hart had to sign. And I think everybody knew about this a while ago. I think even like as late as April, maybe even June, something like that. And so Michael Paul Hart rebutted him and said, the reason I had to sign the NDA is because I want to know what's going on. So I know what steps I have to do to stop this whole thing. And whether Michael Paul Hart is being honest or not about trying to stop the data center, I don't know. I'm split on it right now because he wants it for his smartest city of the world in Indianapolis, even though in the AI task force, the person was saying that Indianapolis has to have a hive mind for the AI stuff in Indianapolis. And what does that require? A data center. So I'm kind of split if Michael Paul Hart is being honest or not about the whole thing. But James Schellinger, who helped bring Infosys in, you remember the Indian company, Infosys, one of the biggest abusers of America's visa system, importing cheap labor while qualified Americans are sidelined. So I won't even talk about Infosys yet. They are the worst. In 2015, it was reported that Infosys was abusing the H-1B program. Southern California Edison workers were being laid off and replaced by workers from India. If you remember, Raju was talking. I think Raju actually deleted his flyer that he was going to India for the H-1B and the ED-5 stuff. I don't know if it's still on his LinkedIn. I'd have to double check. But Michael Paul Hart did put up a nice graphic of what the following steps are going to be. So September 8th, which you know your boy is going to be at, they're checking it out. There'll be an option to call it down, a majority vote, and a public hearing. So then it's funny that there's a 3/5 vote. Am I right? There's a potential date of a council public hearing on September 22nd. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. 12 out of the 25 city councilors, they are against it. Do I have the thing up? I do not. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I thought it was fascinating. Yeah, here it is. I thought it was fascinating on the people that are voting no for it. It's like basically the bottom half of Marion County. Now, Jared Evans did come out on Sunday that he's not for it. You had John Barth over in Broad Ripple who's not for it. Now, look at the names that haven't said yes or no. Now, I expect Carlino and McCormick to vote no against it, but you never know with Fiona. And everybody else is waiting for their orders from Hogsett, whether or not they should be voting for it. These are all the elitist people. I think these are all the people that voted no. Oh no, Carlino McCormick voted to keep Jesse Brown in the caucus. But it's gonna. Here's the thing that Michael Paul Hart was pointing out, which Jim Schellinger tried to say like, oh, there's actually no correlation to this. So Jim Schellinger is the president and CEO of Indy Economic Development. Think of it as Indy's IEDC. So on the board chair is Hogshead, of course, Treasurer Gordon Brooks, which is part of the Eli Lilly and Company. But here's the most important person, Secretary Brandy Davis Handy, who is president of AES Indiana. Now, who will benefit the most out of the data centers? AES, Citizens, Duke, REMC, all these energy companies will benefit the most because it requires so much energy to power these data centers. The one in New Carlisle will require almost a third of all the homes that it requires to power them in Indiana. So I forgot, I don't have my notes with me, but it's like 1.2 gigawatts. And then I heard the one in Franklin Township might need the same too. So if that's true, you're talking about the amount of energy that will require to power these is 2/3 of the homes of Indiana would be the same. The one in New Carlisle is what they're predicting. Now I think they're talking about right now of rules of saying, well, during peak hours, they're going to have low priority computing basically at these data centers. And when it's not low priority, say at night, then they're not going to. Of course, there's like 200 diesel generators that have to be turned on for an X amount of time I think it's once a week or once a month. Which is going to produce a lot of noise. We're still not sure about water. When I went to the one in New Carlisle, it looks like they have a lot of I don't know, I would call them like mini silos. And we'll see, though. It's going to turn into a giant mess. And of course, Indy Star had an article about the energy lobby, about how I think Indiana, Michigan Power, they spent $18,000, which I did look up. So just in the 2025 first period report, Indiana, Michigan Power, they spent $18,000 for, I think it was dinner and entertainment, right? Hold on. 18 for, total entertainment expenditures and gifts was just over $18,000. Now, here's the funny part. Out of that $18,000, $13,347 was spent on the legislators. Almost $4,700 and the rest of the money was spent on their better halves and children. So their family, which included the combine, which included the thing called Sodexo Live Sweet Food. And all the dates are on here too. This one I'm looking at from 2024. Obviously, during an election year, they're going to spend more money, or like not a budget year. Because you can tell here in 2024, it wasn't a budget year, and they spent less than what they spent on during 2025. Kind of funny, though. I haven't split them up to see if it was for the family as well. All right, so let's speed run this whole thing, because this is where it gets really funny. So Ryan Mears, 5 minutes, producer John. We're gonna make sure that I don't mess up from last week. Just kill the stream at 8:53. All right, so Ryan Mears put out a thing, was talking about at the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee last week during the budget meeting, and he said the reason why people are leaving Marion County is because it is more expensive than the donut counties, or because Marion County is more expensive than the donut counties, because they're talking about changing the requirements. If you work here, you also have to live here. For like the police, only 50% of the IMPD officers actually live in Marion County. The other 50 are living in the outside counties. Now, Ryan Mears is saying that the reason why people are leaving Marion County is because it's too expensive. I would play this, but you can't hear the volume. There's also an argument to be made, I think, of what Ryan Mears might be indicating is that it's also not a safe place to raise a family, or a place to raise a family. Now, here's what's really funny. Frank Lutz put this thing out last week saying that cities with the highest violent crime rates, number 9 is Indianapolis. Very funny. Remember how I said that we can't govern our way out of this? We can't vote our way out of this? This is what I mean. Even with Indianapolis being top 10 of the highest crime rates in the U.S., people will still vote for a Democrat. All right. Hey, Hamilton County, Hendricks County, Johnson County. You want to be a blue area so bad? Get ready to get on the list, baby. All right. So, of course, if you look at this, charges have been filed against a 19-year-old accused of shooting at a rival gang member's home while still on GPS monitoring for a previous plea deal. Of course, because that's how it works. But let's Ryan Mears' argument. Let's look at that real quick. Marion County household market trends, 255 in Marion County. This is the median household. In Morgan County, 319. In Johnson County, 340. In Hancock, 350. In Hendricks, 355. In Boone County, 450. And to top it all up with Hamilton County at 460,000 is the median price to buy a home. This is just all for Redfin, unless, of course, Ryan Mears is talking about Shelby County. Then it's at 229,000. But here's my point. Whatever Ryan Mears is talking about, totally fake news. And this is where things are going to get even more interesting when it talks about this residency requirement. Actually, you know what? I should check something real quick because I heard there was some crazy stuff that was happening. Okay. It's all right. This is what I'm going to be doing after the show. I'll be checking the Administration and Finance Committee. So from what I understand, Maggie Lewis is not in favor of it. And Dan Parker, who's like basically number two to Hogsett, said that they want to keep all the income taxes here. And here's my point. Do you think anybody that lives in Marion County or anybody that lives outside of Marion County wants to work in Marion County? Probably not, okay? Because the city budget is not exactly the best compared to the outside counties. All right, so that's all I got. Make sure you check me out on Saturday. I will be going downtown on Saturday, I promise, to do some live streaming and to just a report of what's going on. The traffic the temperature has chilled out. People are back in school. Things are going to get crazy. So it'll be interesting to see where things are at, especially late at night. Still, I want them to bring in a National Guard. So until next time, love you guys. Bye.